Very good afternoon to one and all present online and offline. Welcome to the 9th study circle meeting of the GSTPAM. We have a very interesting topic today, all the amendments which the government has done, and Aditya was telling me that the government has backtracked a lot of things. So I'm sure he's going to touch a few points there. Before we begin, I'd like to request the President, sir, for his to come and give his opening remarks. Introduction.
Good afternoon to everyone who are present physically and virtually as well. This is the 10th study circle, and we have a learned speaker today. I always say it's a pleasure to be Mr. Surte's on the dais. So last amnesty scheme about AMVAT amnesty scheme, which was announced in the budget, Mr. Subhash Surte was there. Now we have Aditya Surte, so the legacy continues. I recognize the presence of our Subhash Moraleji and Mr. V.V. Gute, who are in the department as Additional Commissioner of Sales Tax. And I would like to say that we have a seminar on GST, mega seminar on GST. We have a learned speaker like Pranav Kapadia, Dinesh Tambre, and other learned speakers are there. So on 6th of May at Ghatkopar. So be enrolled for that. Formal announcement and circulars will be there on website also. We have MGST Act being published, and it's going to be on the sale very soon. So please book that too. And we have a bundle of short publications of 5 short publications, which are also going to be soon on the table for sale. We are on the verge of finalizing the international RRC. I once again recognize presence of everyone physically and as well as virtually. And I thank our own member Aditya Surte for being present and sparing his time for this amnesty GST subject. And I recognize the presence of our office bearers, Praveen Shinde, Vice President, Mahesh Madkorkar, Treasurer, and Honorary Joint Secretary Vinod Maske and Umang Talati. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Umang, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. Now, to formally start the session, I would request Harish Bhai to introduce our learned speaker and friend Aditya.
Thank you, Umang. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I thank our President, sir, and all office bearers of GSTPAM to give me this opportunity of introducing our star learned speaker, Mr. Aditya Surte. So it is said, na ki naam hi sirf kafi hai, but then we have to comply with the formalities of introducing our speaker. So his educational qualification is BCom Honors, FCA, and LLB. He is a practicing chartered accountant specializing in GST advisory, litigation, audit, and compliance. He is consultant to various corporate and non-corporate business entities on matters relating to GST. He is passionate about disseminating knowledge and regularly delivers lectures on GST at seminars organized by various professional and trade organizations and conducts training for CA firms and corporate houses. He is a visiting faculty at the Management Development Program of Wellington Institute of Management Research and Development at Matunga. Well, he has got number of recognitions also and awards also. So he has got this Best Upkeeping Speaker 2016 award by All India Federation of Tax Practitioner Association in December 2016. He has even been awarded as a Best Paper Writer for presenting technical paper on case studies in composite and mixed supply at the 42nd RRC of the GSTPAM Association of Maharashtra held at Bangalore in February 2018. And he is also a writer to various publications His articles in he's a public, even he's contributes to the articles in GST Review, published by GSTPAM, and the Chambers Journal, published by Chamber of Tax Consultants. Even he is a writer in this applicability and impact of GST on charitable and religious trust, published by WRC of ICAI. Short publication on transitional provisions in GST, published by GSTPAM. Even key rulings under indirect tax laws, a GST perspective, published by Chamber of Tax Consultants in association with Walters Kluwer. He is selected as training faculty by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for training on GST. He is convener of Law and Representation Committee of GSTPM for 3 consecutive years, from 2018-19 to 2020-21, and he enjoys light, semi-classical, and classical music. With this introduction, I present before you Mr. Aditya Surte, but before I request him to start the session, I would request our President, Mr. Sunil Kushnani, to present a token of appreciation, the moment of appreciation. Thank you so much. Over to you, Aditya.
स्टैंडिंग में लेकिन आवाज हेलो Hello, am I audible? Yes. I'll check online outside. Yes, please. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, thank you very much, Harish Shugani ji, for the lovely introduction. The president of our association, the office bearers present here, the convener of Law and Representation Committee, my friend Umang. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm also happy to see lots of familiar faces after a long time, because this is a physical lecture at GSTPM after quite a long time, which is not a seminar. So I also recognize the presence of our esteemed members of the department, ex-members of the department, who are now joined this side of the bar. So this topic was decided to have a combination or culmination of recent notifications, part 1, that is, second is GST amnesty scheme, and third part is the GST appellate tribunal related amendments in the Finance Act. Now, why we have chosen this particular topic in this manner? Once we go ahead, we'll see that the amendments or the notifications that have been issued, majority of them relate to the amnesty scheme. There are 1 or 2 of them which are in addition to amnesty. And the last part, I was told that when finance bill was presented, already a session has been conducted explaining the provisions of the finance bill. However, as we all know, after that, the union budget, basically, there was the meeting of 49th meeting of the GST Council, in which certain recommendations were made, which required amendment to the law. And when the finance bill was presented in the Lok Sabha for passing, these certain additions were made, or rather the changes were made to the finance bill. And unfortunately, I would say that discussion on that finance bill has not happened, and it has been passed. And it has received assent of the president also, and it has become an act. So
There are a few more amendments, which if time permits, I would cover, which were not part of the original finance bill, but which have come in the Finance Act. But primarily the focus in the given time that I have been asked to cover the appellate tribunal related amendment, because that was the major change that happened over here. So on 31st of March, now please understand the timeline. On 18th of February 2023, the 49th council meeting took place in which certain recommendations were made. Thereafter, CBIC issued 8 notifications on 31st of March. Certain rate changes were recommended in that meeting. For example, RAB and pencil sharpener, reducing the rate on pencil sharpener from 18% to 12%. Those notifications, or rather the notifications to give effect to those recommendations for changing of rate, were issued on 28th of February itself, and which came into force from 1st of March. That is not getting covered here. When we are talking recent has become a very subjective term, especially in GST. Recent matlab kya? When I receive a call, sir, recent amendments pe lecture karna hai. What is your recent? You please tell me. 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. This week I ended up writing an article because there is a lecture in Nashik on 25th and 26th of this month, and they have covered amendments. The topic that they gave me, amendments, recent amendments, that is what they called me for. Same question I asked. कि 1st January से करना है तो Finance Act 21 का amendments were given effect to on 1st January 22. तो उधर से चालू हो जाएगा. वो नहीं करना है तो Finance Act 22 का, which were given effect on 1st of October. Then came 47th council meeting in June 2022, जिसका 18th of July से आया. They said, sir, we would like to cover from Finance Act 22 onwards. So Finance Act 22, 46th council meeting, 47th council meeting, 48th council meeting, then came Finance Act 23 and 49th council meeting. Itna okay, the article has become 42 pages, A4. So I am considering, I will, once all of this is over, I think GSTPAM should consider if they want to print a short publication out of it. It might be useful for everybody. But abhi uska bhi use kitna hoga malum nahi hai, because amendments are being made, thereafter amendments are being made to go backtrack on the amendments. So a very small example, as Umang said, pencil sharpener. While writing the article, I realized pencil sharpener was, I think, 18%. It was 12%. In 46th council meeting, which I call as the, or rather the council meeting which happened on 28th and 29th of June at Chandigarh. The two days council meeting, which I consider to be a mini budget. That is, that article was printed in GST review also. So many amendments were made. In that, rate rationalization was done. And in order for them to have not have excess ITC, they increased the rate of pencil sharpener to 18%. Now in this meeting, they have reduced it to 12%. So there are many such examples which I can give, not the topic for the day. I'll come back to the point. The point is the amendment, the notifications that we are covering today are all issued on 31st of March. So 8 notifications have been issued in order to give effect to the recommendations of the 49th meeting of the GST Council, which were not rate related. I hope I made myself clear. Okay. Majority of the amendments are relating to amnesty schemes for regularizing various compliances. And one notification refers to limitation, extending of the limitation for passing of orders under section 73. We'll come to that. Gayatri Surte. Not yet. Yeah, let's continue. So, please understand, first primary thing with respect to this amnesty, we are first going to cover the amnesty notifications only. They are the most important ones. They are the majority of it. This is not our regular VAT amnesty or the previous amnesties that we have seen. This is only an amnesty for late fee. Why did they have to bring an amnesty for late fee? There is no waiver of interest or any tax amount, nothing of that sort. Tax pura bharna hai. The interest also has to be paid in full. It is only the late fee that is getting waived if you opt to file these returns during the period of amnesty. Why so? Because the late fees in GST are humongous. And we have been shouting, at least for the last 3 years, that what is this happening? A person who does not have business enough to be registered under GST cancels his number, gets his cancellation order. Thereafter, he has to file a final return in form GSTR 10, which he forgets to file or he does not know, because in the initial period, a lot of people are not knowing. Practitioners are also not knowing many times. The late fee, when he realized it was there, 10,000 rupees of late fee. A person who doesn't have the money to do business, or he's such a small person, how will he pay 10,000 rupees? Or usme kuch nahi hai. The final return has no liability. He does not have any stock, no additional liability, no ITCs to be reversed. Nothing was there. But to file a nil return, just to click verification and file, 10,000 rupees ka late fee tha. So we've been shouting this is not right. But I don't know whether it was falling on deaf ears or it was falling on ears that could hear, but only to take implementation. Because now is the time to smile. The dealer is king. Come election year. Now they do know the plight of the dealers. They will get, the problems that the dealers have been facing will get resolved now. They are getting an opportunity to regularize their compliances by filing their returns during the amnesty scheme. So, first part, GSTR 4, as we are all aware, persons who opt for composition levy. Earlier, there was a GSTR 4 which was required to be filed quarterly, then that was removed. The original scheme was GSTR 4 quarterly, GSTR 9A was the annual return. 9A is out of the picture. It is still there in the statute, in the rules, but it's not there on the portal. It's not there anywhere. Nobody files GSTR 9A, nobody asks you to file. So quarterly they file CMP 08, annually they are required to file GSTR 4. Side note for everyone, GSTR 4 due date is within 30 days from the end of the financial year. So 30th April 2023 is the due date for filing GSTR 4 for 22-23. Okay, this amnesty is not for 22-23. It is only for financial years starting from 17-18 up to 21-22. All right. So all those composition taxpayers who could not file their GSTR 4 by the due date, now the amnesty scheme for late fee provides that if they file their GSTR 4 between 1st of April 2023 to 30th of June 2023, then in case there is no additional liability in that GSTR 4, those who have seen the form GSTR 4, you have to produce the details of your annual turnover. Then there is an annexure, which is the most time-consuming part of all of your purchases, what is liable to tax under RCM, what is not. Okay, and then it compares it with the CMP 08 that you have already filed. And if there is any additional liability that is coming there, it asks you to pay that additional liability before you file GSTR 4. Now, if there is no additional liability coming in your GSTR 4 for these earlier years, then the late fee is 0, completely waived, file your GSTR 4. Okay, if there is an additional liability payable, then the maximum late fee, now wherever you will see, because the computer has changed, that symbol is rupee. Okay, it is rupees 250 under CGST. So maximum late fee is going to be 500 rupees. The late fee section is section 47. So section 47 provides for 100 rupee per day late fee, 200 rupees including CGST and SGST. However, the maximum late fee is going to be 500 rupees in this case. So long story short, if you have additional liability, 500 rupees late fee bhar ke GSTR 4 can be filed. Is this clear? All right. Next is notification number 3. Now this is amnesty in the form of a one-time extension in the time limit for filing application for revocation of cancellation of registration. Many of us will be aware that there is a provision for cancellation of registration, suo motu cancellation of registration in the Act. Now it also provides that where your registration is cancelled, the taxpayer whose registration has been cancelled can apply for revocation of such cancellation within 30 days. Now, there was a problem that a lot of people either were not aware or could not comply for whatever reason. So there was a demand that now since they could not file, then they had to file an appeal. And then that appeal period has also lapsed. There is a 3-month appeal period with an extension of 1 month, which cannot be condoned beyond that point. So if they have not filed the appeal also, then you are basically remediless. You do not have any recourse. So main kya karu? That was the question. The law did not provide an answer. Now what they are saying, that any registered person whose registration has been cancelled on or before 31st of December 2022. Please bear in mind, your registration should have been cancelled on or before 31st December. If it is after that, that 30-day period still applies to you. Okay. For non-filing of returns and who has failed to apply for revocation of cancellation within 30 days from the date of service of the cancellation order, this person can avail this amnesty. What are the conditions? First condition is, first you furnish all the pending returns, because your registration, if I'm not mistaken, the section is section 49, right? 49 2B or something like that. So that section covers this particular case where a person does not file his return for a specific period. Okay. For composition taxpayer 2 returns consecutively and all those things. So basically, this is a case where a person has not filed his returns. That is why his registration has been cancelled. He has to file his returns first, which is the case. Even if you go for revocation, they're going to tell you first you file your returns. Okay. You have to pay the taxes due as per the returns. You have to pay the applicable interest. You have to pay the applicable late fee also. Okay. For filing that return. Now, please understand, GSTR 3B late fee was rationalized previously, or rather reduced. So that particular thing applies to you. All right. Now, once you have filed your return, paid your taxes, paid the interest, paid the late fee, unless you pay all of these things, you cannot file your return any which way. So once you have filed your return, thereafter you go and apply for revocation of cancellation of registration before 30th of June. And they have also stated that no further extension of time period for filing application for revocation of cancellation shall be available. So what they are trying to say is that this is a one-time opportunity we are giving you. Whoever's registration has been cancelled for non-filing of return, get your registration revoked right now by paying your returns, by filing your returns and applying before 30th of June. We are not giving you any further extension after this. All right. Now, it also says the benefit of this extension can also be claimed by those whose appeal against the order of cancellation of registration or appeal against the order rejecting the application or revocation has been rejected on the ground of failure to adhere to the time limit under section 30, subsection 1. It is basically saying that if your appeal is pending against the order of cancellation, because then your time limit has passed, so you have filed an appeal. And you're also such cases where whose appeals have also been dismissed because you did not file the appeal. So in all such cases also you can avail. So just because you filed an appeal does not mean that you cannot go in for amnesty. You can still make the application, get it regularized. Next, this is an amnesty scheme for deemed withdrawal of best judgment assessment orders issued under section 62. Yes, sir. No, no such condition is given. No such condition has been given here. It is not the precondition like in our VAT amnesty that you have got to withdraw the appeal. You can still see what I have seen. I have seen the limited portion of the GSTR 9 late fee waiver that it is talking about, this scheme. I have tested that. They have already made the changes on the portal. So according to me over here also, it will let you file the application. You need not withdraw the appeal or anything. Now, another thing is that there is no provision for withdrawal of appeal. As of now, they have introduced those provisions now. The form for withdrawal of appeal. Till now, there is no such provision. Next, this. So, what is a best judgment assessment? Section 62 provides that if the registered person has not filed or not furnished a valid return by making payment of the taxes within a period of 30 days from the service of, the provision states that you have not filed the return, they will first issue a notice to you that you please file your return. I think that is GSTR 3A, the notice. if you do not file a return in response to that notice, then they conduct a best judgment assessment. They don't need to give you any notice. So there have been cases where people have not filed their returns on time. Thereafter, they have not filed their returns in response to these notices also. And best judgment assessment orders have been passed under section 62. Now, section 62 subsection 2 provides that if a person within 30 days of the service of the best judgment assessment order files the return, then in that case, that best judgment assessment order is deemed to be withdrawn. Okay, you can get the order withdrawn if you just file the return within 30 days of, so they're giving you one more opportunity that even after passing of the best judgment assessment order, you file the return within 30 days, we'll withdraw that order, automatic withdrawal. Now, there have been cases where such things have also not happened. A person has also not filed the return within 30 days. So again, there was a demand that this time limit of 30 days was too short. We were not aware. The provisions are new. So a lot of people have not been able to file. They are sitting with huge liabilities determined on the basis of best judgment assessment orders. So now this amnesty scheme is providing a chance for such people to get it regularized. The condition is that the best judgment assessment order should have been passed or issued on or before 28th of February 2023. So very latest. All right. Now, the scope of amnesty says that the notification will give you relief who could not avail to the registered persons who could not avail the benefit of section 62(2) as I already explained, and the order shall be deemed to be withdrawn now if you still file that return with on or before 30th of June. So to put it in a nutshell, if you had not filed the return, you had received a notice, thereafter best judgment assessment order had been passed, and you could not even file your return within 30 days to get that best judgment assessment order withdrawn, then now file your return on or before 30th of June and that order will be deemed to be withdrawn. This amnesty applies to you irrespective of whether you have filed an appeal against that best judgment assessment order or whether or not that appeal has been decided. So if your appeal is pending, you're still eligible to go in for amnesty. Even if your appeal has been decided and you are saying that I am not paying this, I will go into the tribunal or whatever it is, you can still opt for this and get it over. Okay. Moving on. Amnesty to annual return non-filers. Now, yes, sir.
If you have filed the appeal and you have made certain pre-deposit, so what will happen to that pre-deposit? How can it be refunded? That question remains to be
Answered.
Secondly, see, it is not like that your registration is cancelled.
Mm.
That order is passed and it is on the GST portal.
Mm.
So you file the return. Let's say there is a demand of 2.5 lakh rupees as per your unilateral assessment, but your actual demand was 1 lakh of rupees, and you have paid that in the regular return because your number is still active, and that order was missed out somehow. Now I have paid 1 lakh rupees my actual liability as per my return. Now if I pay
that same return. That same return which you have filed thereafter.
Let's say for December 2022, that order was passed. Then in that December month, they have ascertained the liability of 2.5 lakh.
Whereas I have only declared 1.5 lakh.
1 lakh of rupees is my actual
correct.
liability.
Okay.
So I have paid that 1 lakh rupees in my December return.
Correct.
I did not pay interest with the return.
Okay.
So now if I pay DRC interest to DRC 3. How will it correlate and how it will be withdrawn?
You will have to explain it. I understand your point. I understood the point. So the question is, the condition for availing amnesty is that you furnish your pending return, which you have already furnished, but it says along with applicable interest and late fee. Now, when you have filed the return belatedly, obviously you would have paid the late fee also, but you have not paid the interest. Okay. In that case, in order to avail this amnesty, you will have to pay the interest also. If you pay the interest through DRC 03, how will they recognize? According to me, the system will not recognize interest any which way. They will allow you to file it. Okay. I will tell you why. Because even if you pay the interest over here, there is no system that they have right now.
So you have to go to the nodal office.
You will have to. You will have to go there and explain to them that this interest has been paid by way of DRC03, because that is the condition in the notification. So you have to satisfy that. But they have not provided how you have to pay that interest. No application form has been prescribed. So in that case, you paid through DRC03. And then if at all, according to me, the application will, or rather, there will not be any problem because there is no application. Even today, if you try to file the return, it accepts even without interest even today. So you can file your, so there is no system stop there. So you can still file it. Since you have already filed it, you can file DRC03, pay the interest, and thereafter, yes. Okay. That he's already, that question, who he asked the question, he's already answered it. He knows that there is no solution to it right now. He's already told you that it remains to be seen. Sir, let's analyze this. There was a liability. Now, in this case, what has happened? Have you filed this return, Aditya, in this case? In this scenario that we are taking, the facts are that there is a 1 lakh rupee liability as per my interest. I had not filed it. I received a notice, best judgment assessment order passed. Thereafter, I have filed the return, disclosed 1 lakh rupee liability, paid it along with interest, late fee, whatever it is. Now, I have gone ahead and filed an appeal against that best judgment assessment order, saying that this is, I have not filed the return within 30 days. So that best judgment assessment order is not withdrawn. And I'm filing an appeal against this. So I have had to pay 10% part payment. What happens to that? According to me, you should file a application for refund of taking that money back. Because now that order is deemed to be withdrawn, but they have not provided anywhere in the system that your money will be returned to you. You will have to make an application for claiming refund of the amount that you had paid by way of part payment.
Prior to making any application, first see the nodal officer.
No, I always say file an application, then see the nodal officer. Don't see the nodal officer before anything that you file. Do you think the officer knows the modalities of this? Do you think the officer will know the modalities of this? So my suggestion, if somebody comes to me with this query, my suggestion would be that you please file an application for refund. Then approach the nodal officer, because even he is not going to be aware of, because this notification has come from there. Has any communication been made to the officers of what to do in such cases? They will have to issue a circular. Automatic refund? Yes. 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 How can the officer, how can the appellate authority refund your part payment amount unless you make some sort of an application? I have my doubts as to whether you just by making a written application to the appellate authority will refund your. Nobody needs to write, sir. You are already eligible. Once your best judgment assessment order is deemed to be withdrawn, then there is no question of remaining in appeal. So my understanding of this is we'll see how this progresses. Once a case comes, then you will realize what is happening. I would advise, if somebody comes to me, that you please file an application for refund. You also write a letter, but please understand, all of these matters on the in the GST era are being handled through the portal. I have seen a lot of people making this mistake. They receive a GSTR ASMT 10. They reply to the ASMT 10 by way of an email or a written application. I have seen cases where the show cause notices have been issued saying that no response was received. The officer has written there. You have to make certain communication through the portal, because that is the designated common portal. All right. So you need to place it on record. You need to place it on record. All right. Moving on. Annual return amnesty. Please understand, this annual return, they are only talking about GSTR 9. Why I'm saying that? is because in the Act and the rules, you will also find GSTR 9A, but in the notification also while writing, they are writing annual return into bracket GSTR 9. And again, 9A was never brought into force, so this is only applicable to GSTR 9. So it is applicable to registered persons who failed to furnish the annual return, that is GSTR 9, by the due date for any of the financial years 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22. 22, 23, we will now file on or before 31st of December. Now, 21, 22 was the first year after implementation of GST where the due date was actually 31st of December and it was not extended. Before that, all the due dates had to be extended. They could not implement the forms. The due dates were extended. Thereafter, certain problems were faced, and so on and so forth. When they rationalized the return late fee for the regular returns, a question was raised as to why not, if you are going to rationalize it and reduce it for regular returns, why not reduce it for annual returns also? But they did not reduce it at that point of time. Now, as of now, what the provision stands, as I said, section 42, section 47 of the CGST Act provides for late fee. Subsection 2 of that act states that there is a late fee of 100 rupees per day under the CGST law, subject to 0.25 of the turnover in the state, that is the maximum late fee. Similar provision is there under the SGST Act. So the late fee becomes 200 rupees per day, subject to 0.5% of the turnover. I saw one case on 30th of March, that person went to file his annual return for the financial year 2021. It was pending for whatever reason. The portal showed a 79,000 rupee late fee. 79,000 rupee late fee. So till 1920, it was a hit and miss. Sometimes the portal showed late fee, sometimes it did not show late fee, and it just took the annual return. If it shows the late fee, you have no choice but to pay the late fee. Otherwise, your return will not be filed. It is increasing by 200 rupees per day, 6,000 rupees per month. Okay. And it is your turnover might be higher, so it is not going to reach your 0.5%. So on 31st of March, this notification came up, and 1st of April was a Saturday, 2nd of April, Sunday, 3rd of April, I asked them to check. This is sir, 20,000 rupees dikha raha hai. 79,000 ka 20,000. So they were ready to pay. They had taken approval from the management that we'll pay 79,000. Fortunately for them, the notification came. So what it is now saying, instead of 200 rupees per day for the past periods, they are saying the late fee will be restricted to maximum late fee and 10,000 rupees under CGST Act, 10,000 rupees under SGST Act. That percentage base kuch nahi hai idhar. So for past periods, your maximum late fee is 20,000 rupees. In majority of the cases whose returns are pending, they are going to be paying 20,000 rupees. Okay, because 200, 6,000 रुपया तो एक महीने का जा रहा है. तो 20,000 होने में कितना टाइम लगेगा? 4 महीना डिले हो गया तो गया 20,000 के ऊपर. So even if it is delayed by 4 months, you will be only paying 20,000. There are people who have not filed their annual returns for 17, 18, 18, 19 also, in some cases, whatever be the reason. Now, the condition is that you file your annual return between 1st of April to 30th of June. That's all. And the portal has already been amended. As I said, it is only taking late fee of 20,000 rupees. Okay, straightforward, very simple. Yes, sir. Abhi, that needs to be covered here. It's a very good point. I will tell you, because then certain cases, what has happened, departmental audit has taken place. Then those cases where, so for the online audience, because you are not having a mic, the question is here that for those cases where the late fee showed 0 and people filed their annual returns, they may have filed it in 18, 19, 19, 20, whatever it is, they have not paid any late fee. In such cases, what will happen? The straightforward answer is they are not eligible for this amnesty, because amnesty is very categorically saying that you file your returns between the period 1st April to 30th June. They have already filed their annual returns. Now, in those cases, in majority of the cases where GST audit has taken place, they have told them, they are issuing show cause notices that you have to pay this late fee. Now, when this amnesty was announced, many people at that point of time stated that, see, an amnesty has been announced, details are not there. We would like to wait and see. So according to me, it is now unjust but all amnesties are unjust because defaulters are rewarded in amnesties. So there is no justice that you should speak about in amnesty. It is unjust for the people who filed their annual returns, although after the due date, but before this amnesty came, and those who waited and sat on huge amounts of late fee now get to pay only 20,000. So according to me, in such cases, you should try to argue, and something should come up saying that for those cases also, it should be 20,000 for everybody. Okay. Then those people will have a problem who have जिनका लेट फी दिखा 60,000 रुपी 70,000 रुपी लेट फी भरा उनका, अभी जो गया वो गया. ठीक है. So once there was this news, I have actually advised people in the last few months that don't file your annual return, sit on it, don't do it, it's worth taking the risk. Amnesty aa raha hai. Okay.
Regarding 9C.
Yes, 9C there is no late fee. The late fee is only for 9. Now, this is not part of amnesty, but this is again part of the recommendations of the 49th Council, stating that from financial year 22-23 onwards, we are rationalizing or reducing the late fee. Okay. So what is the reduction? That also we should be aware of. Please bear in mind, the amnesty is for all annual returns up to financial year 21-22. This rationalization is applicable for annual returns for the financial year 22-23 onwards, which is now due on 31st of December. Okay. For this rationalization is only applicable to taxpayers who have their aggregate turnover up to 20 crore rupees. Those taxpayers whose aggregate turnover is more than 20 crore rupees, they have no rationalization. It will continue to be 200 rupees per day, subject to 0.5% of the turnover. Okay, the old provision. That is the last section that you see here, the third table, the third row. So for taxpayers whose turnover is under 20 crore rupees, they have categorized it into two people. For the small ones whose turnover is up to 5 crores in the relevant financial year, they say your late fee will be 100 rupees per day. 50 rupees per day, 25 under CGST, 25 under SGST, subject to maximum of 0.04%, because 0.02 under CGST, 0.02 under SGST. ठीक है, तो ये 0.5% का कम करके भी मैक्सिमम लेट फी 0.04% पे लेके आ गए, and per day late fee has been reduced from 200 rupees to 50 rupees in case of taxpayers whose turnover is up to 5 crore, aggregate turnover is up to 5 crores for that financial year, relevant financial year. Then for persons whose aggregate turnover is more than 5 crores but up to 20 crore rupees, the late fee is 100 rupees, 50 under CGST, 50 under SGST. The maximum amount is still the same, 0.04%. Okay, there is nothing to understand here. It's a mechanical calculation. You see where you are falling. And so the point to be noted in this case is, if your turnover is above 20 crore rupees, there is no rationalization for you, although amnesty is applicable to you. Okay, for past periods, the amnesty that has been given, it does not specify any turnover. Any person's annual return is pending, you file it between 1st April to 30th June, pay only maximum 20,000. 22-23 onwards, if your turnover is more than 20 crores, no reduction for you. You are expected to file on due date. If your turnover is less than 20 crores, then there is a reduction given to you. If it is between 5 to 20, then 50% कर दिया, ऐसा बोलेंगे, और उसके नीचे गया तो उसका 50% कर दिया, काम खत्म. Now, at the beginning, I talked about this annual final return GSTR 10. So, as I said, this is applicable to those persons who are filing GSTR 3B and whose registration is cancelled. They must furnish a final return in Form GSTR 10. Why have I written for those people who are filing GSTR 3B? Because GSTR 10 is only applicable to regular taxpayers. Okay. Now they are required to file this final return within 3 months of the date of cancellation or the date of cancellation order, service of the order, whichever is later. The section 47 provides for a late fee of 200 rupees per day, subject to a maximum of 10,000, half under CGST, half under SGST. What is the amnesty? They are saying the total late fee will be restricted to 1,000 rupees. So 10,000 का 1,000 रुपया कर दिया है. ठीक है? You can file this final return between 1st of April to 30th of June and avail this by paying only 1,000 rupee late fee and get it over with. Okay. So again, good welcome change. Yes, you do penalize somebody for not filing the return on time, but you do not penalize that person exorbitantly. Now, this notification, extension of limitation for passing orders under section 73. Very interesting. They have issued this notification number 9 of 2023, saying that the time limit for passing orders under section 73 for recovery of tax not paid, short paid, or ITC wrongly availed or utilized relating to financial year 17-18 to 19-20 is extended. For 17-18, it is extended to 31st of December, 18-19, 31st of March, 19-20, 30th of June kar diya. Now, please understand, there are 2 or 3 points that need to be noted here and pondered upon. Point number 1, they have mentioned section 73, but they very categorically state that for recovery of tax not paid, short paid, or ITC wrongly availed or utilized. Section 73 also covers refund, erroneous refund recovery under 73. But this extension does not appear to be for recovery of erroneous refund, because they are categorically stating that under section 73 for recovery of tax not paid, short paid, or ITC. 1 point. Point number 2, 17-18 time limit had already been extended by way of that which 47th meeting of the GST Council, which was held in June 2022. At that point of time, 17-18 limitation was extended to कितना रे पार्थ किधर किया था वो मालूम 3 months here, no, 30th September. 30th September limitations you should know. So 30th September was the extended date. Now they've extended by 3 months again. 18, 19, 19, 20 was not extended previously. Now they've also extended that. So 17, 18 already extended ho chuka tha because of COVID and all those things they had stated. Now they've extended it again. Point number 2. Point number 3. Extension of passing of orders automatically means that there is an extension for issuing notices, because section 73 subsection 2 states that notice can be issued, must be issued at least 3 months prior to the timeline of passing of order. So if your last date is 30th of September, you must issue a notice 3 months before that. Now that time limit automatically gets extended. So now for 17-18, the notices can be issued up to 30th of September. So this extension of limitation is not for passing of orders. It is primarily for issuing of notices. Point number 3 and point number 4. This notification has been issued under the powers conferred to the government under section 168A. Now, after COVID happened, this 168A was inserted, allowing them. So this, I have reproduced this section. Okay, power of government to extend time limit in special circumstances. It says, notwithstanding anything contained in this act, the government may, on the recommendations of the council, by notification, extend the time limit specified in or prescribed or notified under this act in respect of actions which cannot be completed or complied with due to force majeure. And explanation to that 168 is stated that for the purposes of this section, the expression force majeure means a case of war, epidemic, flood, drought, fire, cyclone, earthquake, or any other calamity caused by nature or otherwise affecting the implementation of any of the provisions of the act. So the last point in this notification number 9 is, a lot of people are questioning whether the government has authority to issue this notification under the powers given under 168A. What kind of force majeure has happened now that you need to extend it by 3 months? Okay. Now that, according to me, somebody will have to challenge it, the wires of this notification, and then only the courts will be deciding whether this extension is valid or it is invalid. Prima facie, it does not look to be a notification which is issued under valid powers that are conferred. However, when in July 2022, this extension, the time limit was extended, it was also extended under 168A, and that time nobody complained. Because everybody was saying it was COVID time. But 22 mein kya tha? Still, yes, COVID impact was still there. Now people are saying, abhi kya hai? Why do you need to extend it under powers those? So these are 4 points that need to be taken care of. Now, we have covered the notifications with respect to amnesty. We have covered the additional notification with respect to extension of time limits. One notification has come on 31st of March with respect to compensation cess. We need not go in detail because it is only mechanical. A table has been reproduced by me. Recommendations were made to change the basis of charging compensation cess in case of pan masala and tobacco from ad valorem duty to basis was changed to retail sale price. So this notification, section 163 of the Finance Act has replaced these entries or made amendments to the schedule that is there under the Compensation Cess Act, which gives you the maximum rate at which compensation cess can be levied. Only that notification has come that the date of implementation of that provision will be 1st of April 2023. That's all that is there in this. Okay. We now move to the last part of our discussion, which is constitution, or rather provision with respect to constitution of the GST Appellate Tribunal. Now, Finance Act 2023, as I said, 49th council meeting happened, and then the press conference that was held, the chairperson of the GST council meeting stated that a discussion took place. The group of ministers' recommendations were adopted, and certain states had certain issues with certain paragraphs. The language needed to be changed, and that authority was given to the chairperson by all the members of the council to approve those changes and then incorporate the amendments in the Finance Act. That in that press conference, they also stated that we should have a functional tribunal by 1st of October. That is what we are trying for. That is what they are saying. Okay. If I were to give this in a nutshell, my understanding or my opinion on this, I don't think a tribunal is coming by 1st of October at all, because the provisions that have been made. So what was the problem? The history of it, please understand. When the law was implemented on 1st of July 2017, subsequently cabinet approval was given, notification was issued to constitute a tribunal. And at that point of time, there was the regional benches and all those terminologies were used, national bench and regional bench and all those things. Now, the constitution of the tribunal was illegal, unconstitutional rather. So, Revenue Bar Association moved the Madras High Court by way of a writ, saying that this is unconstitutional. So in that, what happened? There are 109 gives you the constitution of the tribunal, and 110 gives you the qualification criteria and all those service terms and all those things. Okay. So in this Finance Act also, the entire 109 and 110 sections have been substituted in their entirety. Okay, new provisions have been brought in. So the old 110 1B3, which talked about the qualification of a judicial member, it stated that a member of the Indian Legal Service was eligible to be appointed as a judicial member, and they said that this provision is contrary to the law that was laid down by the Supreme Court in Union of India versus Madras, R. Gandhi versus Madras, R. Gandhi, who is the president of Madras Bar Association. I think this was Madras Bar Association 3. There have been 1, 2, 3 Madras Bar Association cases which have spoken about the constitution and constitutionality of the tribunals. So Supreme Court has already stated that this cannot happen. So this is contrary to that judgment. So this needs to be struck down. Secondly, section 109, subsection 3 and subsection 9, which prescribe that the tribunal shall consist of 1 judicial member, 1 technical member of center and 1 technical member of state, is again it is unconstitutional, it needs to be struck down because the administrative members are outnumbering the judicial members. There need to be separation of power between judiciary and executive. Again, settled law by the Supreme Court. So on these both counts, the Madras High Court said that this is unconstitutional. The government did not file an appeal. Okay, against this, no appeal was filed till date. Rather, they went back to the board. They redrafted the provisions. It has taken them 5 years to do that. And now Section 109, Constitution of Appellate Tribunal benches, and 110, President and members, their qualification, appointment, conditions of service has been substituted. We'll first see the highlights of these provisions. 110 is quite long because it provides for obviously all the qualifications, then what will be the salary, what will be the HRA, and what will be all these things. So we need not go in depth of those today. If and when these provisions are actually brought to life, we'll study them. 109 also, that is why I said, very unlikely that a tribunal will come up on 1st of October, but worthwhile for us to understand what the provisions are. So I have given highlights of the new section 109. What it says, the new scheme of tribunal. There will be one principal bench at New Delhi consisting of the president, a judicial member, a technical member center, and technical member state. So abhi, there will be 4 members, 2 judicial members, 2 technical members. So that part of the technical members outweighing the judicial members is taken care of. Next, on the request of the state, the central government may constitute such number of state benches at such places and with such jurisdiction as may be recommended by the council. The state benches will be consisting of 2 judicial members, 1 technical member center, and 1 technical member from state. So 4 members everywhere. Okay. Now the terminology has also changed. It is now 1 principal bench. So it is a national tribunal now. The principal bench of the tribunal is at New Delhi. The state benches are there at in each state, depending on how many benches are required for state. Next, cases in which any one of the issues involved relates to place of supply, those matters can only be heard by the principal bench, quite obviously, because disputes between state revenue, those matters will only be dealt with by the principal bench. Next, senior most judicial member within the state bench will act as the vice president of such state benches. So there will not be any presidents of the state benches. There will only be vice presidents. And they have stated that their rights or their powers will be prescribed. And only for administrative purposes, they will be termed as vice president. For all other purposes, they will be treated as a member only. Okay. Next, appeals where the amount involved does not exceed 50 lakhs. Now, this is 109 subsection 8. I am of the opinion that this will be discussed a lot. So this should be remembered. 109 subsection 8, appeals where the amount involved does not exceed rupees 50 lakhs and which does not involve any question of law. Such appeals may be heard by a single member after taking approval of the president and subject to such conditions as may be prescribed on the recommendations of the council. In all other cases, the appeal shall be heard together by 1 judicial member and 1 technical member. Now, after that 49th council meeting, that press conference I had categorically gone and seen, what they had stated is that in order to resolve all these problems, okay, of the unconstitutionality as well as to address the state's concerns, what we are going to do, we are going to have 2 judicial members, 2 technical members, 1 from center, 1 from state, everywhere. Okay. However, the matters will be heard only by 2 people, 1 judicial member, 1 technical member, either from state or center. So the composition of the bench is 4 people, but the matters will be heard by 2. And additionally, so that was only there. And I think they had also said in that press conference, we'll set a limit up to which only 1 member can hear the case so that, you know, the matters can be expedited. So what the intention of this is that where the amount involved is not more than 50 lakhs, so they have put a threshold limit that they are saying that the matters are small and there is no legal issue involved, then any 1 member can deal with it. Okay. Now, our honorable members of our association also who are appearing in the tribunal will be more equipped to tell us whether a single technical member is empowered to hear the matter or no, because I have known that there have been issues here at the state sales tax tribunal also. So one judicial member, yes, may decide the matter. However, only a technical member has been the position over here. Tomorrow, whether this will be held unconstitutional needs to be seen. Yes, sir. Yes. So where judicial member is also prohibited, sir. Okay. So this provision, according to you, will stand the waters or no? The first one, 109(8). Okay.
If this is challenged in that case, yes. But what the Bombay High Court had done in that particular, it had gone as per the tribunal regulation.
I understand. So, see, it is a matter for the legislature to form the tribunal. But again, in all these Madras Bar Association 1, 2, 3, the matters have been actually in that third matter, it was also argued that how can the Supreme Court come in and step in and formulate the law? It is for the legislature to decide. But then they have stated that if you are formulating law with respect to the tribunals, it is very much the Supreme Court's responsibility to step in, because they are one of the most important parts of the judiciary. All right, so it remains to be seen that, as I said, let's see what the provisions are today. So in case of a difference of opinion between the members, the president shall refer the case for hearing to the another member of a state bench within the same state, or if there is no other state bench, then to a member in another state bench. Now the matter, the point will be decided according to the majority of the opinion, including the first opinions. The central government may transfer members from one bench to another bench. However, a technical member of a state who is sitting at a state bench can only be transferred within the same state, that too in consultation with the state government. So please understand, the powers are with the central government. That was one of the points of contention of the states. That is what they had to address, that we need to have a say in all of these things also. But the scheme is such that everybody cannot decide everything in GST. So it is the central government who is going to be deciding for administrative convenience whether a member needs to be transferred. But what they have put a clause over there stating that a state technical member of a state in which he was the state in which he was appointed, he will not be transferred out of that state. The last provision states that no act or proceedings of the tribunal shall be questioned or be invalid merely on the ground of existence of any vacancy or defect in the constitution of the tribunal. Next, we come to section 110. Those were the highlights of 109, constitution of the tribunal. 110 gives the qualification criteria. I have not given everything here, only a few important highlights. So the qualification for criteria for the president, he either has been a judge of the Supreme Court or currently is or has been a Chief Justice of a High Court. Criteria for a judicial member, that he has been a judge of a High Court or has for a combined period of 10 years been a district judge or an additional district judge. Next, criteria for technical member center is that he is or has been a member of the IRS, of Customs and Indirect Tax Group A, or of a member of All India Services with at least 3 years of experience in the administration of an existing law or GST in the central government, and has completed at least 25 years of service in Group A. For technical member, it is a little even more complicated, that he is or has been an officer of the state government or All India Service not below the rank of Additional Commissioner of VAT or State GST, or such rank not lower than that of the first appellate authority as may be notified by the concerned state government, and he has completed 25 years of service in Group A or equivalent with at least 3 years of experience in administration of existing law or GST or in the field of finance and taxation in the state government. So additional criteria is put here. It further goes on to also state that in case of states, if there is no officer who has completed 25 years, because the states may have been formed later or something. So for a temporary period, that provision can be relaxed up to a date that will be notified also. Okay. Now, who will appoint these? A search cum selection committee idea has been promulgated here. So this selection committee, again, it's not a new concept. In previous tribunals, this concept was there. So a separate selection committee for technical member state will be formed, and another will be formed for all other cases. Because what they have done is, for selection committee for technical member state, the representation is entirely of the states that is there, majority of it, of the concerned state. And for all other purposes where central government will be appointing the judicial members as well as the technical members, including principal bench technical member of state also, that a separate selection committee has been is required to be formed. Then the representation of the states in appointment process through the chief secretary of a state nominated by the GST Council as a member of SCSC. Now in this, what we are talking about is the selection committee, which is for all other members. Okay, for a state, we have seen state representation is there. The question that comes now is the selection committee for all other members. The states were saying that we need to have a say. So what they have done is that they have given states representation by way of membership of the selection committee. So the chief secretary of a state nominated by the GST Council will be the member of the selection committee. So all states are members of the council, and the council will recommend one of the chief secretaries to be member of any of the states. Then the selection committee shall recommend a panel of 2 names for appointment or reappointment to the post of president and member, and the central government will choose one of the 2. The term of office for president is 4 years or 67 years of age, whichever is earlier. For members, it is 4 years or 65 years of age, whichever is earlier. They are eligible for reappointment for a period not exceeding 2 years. Provision is being made to override anything contained in any judgment, order, or decree of any court or any law for the time being in force. Now, this has been provided because Supreme Court, in a number of judgments, has stated that the term of the tribunal members should not be less than 5 years, and there should be automatic renewal for equal term unless there are compelling reasons not to renew that. This has been done so that there is consistency, there is security of office to the members, and overall functioning of the tribunal also becomes much better. However, in defiance of the judgments, and they have also stated that anything contrary contained in any judgment decree will not apply. But this is a major point of contention again, wherein it will be challenged. A very nice article of Mr. Arvind Datar has been circulated on WhatsApp also. He wrote in Indian Express. He is the person who has represented the Revenue Bar Association in that Madras High Court. And I'm sure he will be the one who will be representing whoever will be challenging these constitutional aspects also. And that article you should search on Google also and read it, because he's the one who has been dealing with this. So very nicely he has stated there that how many judgments of the Supreme Court this new constitution is also defying, and therefore this is also in all probability likely to be held unconstitutional again. They're challenging it, no? So they will. So the last part of our discussion, what are the bones of contention? Why did I say that it is unlikely that it will be formed? The new section 110(1)(b. Now earlier when it had happened, this tribunal reforms ordinance that was promulgated, certain things were discussed there. The Supreme Court earlier has also given directions in this Madras Bar Association 3 that advocates with at least 10 years of experience can be made as judicial members. As of now, ITAT allows advocates with 10 years of experience to be judicial members. Sestat also allows. For what reason, I don't know. Now, where this matter was challenged at Madras High Court in Revenue Bar Association matter, they had challenged this part also, that why are advocates being excluded from judicial members. But at that point of time, Madras High Court has not, they have upheld that, saying that it is the legislature who, it is not your birthright to say that because you are advocates, you should be appointed as judicial members. It is for the government to decide criteria. When the legislature decides criteria, it becomes your right. And so long as there is no criteria put in the legislature, it cannot become your right. That is the technical point on which they have stated no. However, the question still remains that what is the problem? It has also been said in that article itself that if you are going to allow district judges who have had no exposure to tax laws at all to be judicial members, why not allow an advocate who's practiced for 10 years in taxation to become a judicial member? He would serve the cause of justice much more, but that remains to be seen. The Supreme Court in again Madras Bar Association 3 had directed the enhancement of house rent allowance for president to 1,50,000, to members to 1,25,000. Again, this 110 subclause 8, subsection 8 has disregarded the directions. It has merely stated that the HRA will be same as the central government employee with the same pay grade. Okay. Next, this problem, the third bone of contention, I think, is going to be that the search cum selection committee recommends 2 names for the post of president and member, and central government chooses one. There was a similar provision in this tribunal reforms ordinance of 2021. There was a bill that was presented which could not be passed. Thereafter, in 2021 April, this ordinance was made, and that was challenged. So that was also Madras Bar Association, and I think that was before the constitutional bench, and they had struck this down, saying that when you have Chief Justice of the Supreme Court as the chairman and sitting judges and all such high-level secretaries of that committee, why do you need to have these 2 members recommendation and then they choosing one? We don't want that. Whatever name is recommended should be accepted. Why? Again, because they want, it's quite common sense. Government wants to retain power with them for all of these things. The court says that within these matters, you should not hold indiscriminate power. So there has to be an independence. So this is again going to come down to the constitutionality of the independence of judiciary, and it is already listed on 11 July. Very good. So
one issue is that on 23rd March, CJI has passed an order that there should be judicial impact assessment of all terminals. And matter which you are mentioning, bench of 5. All these terminals will be shut down.
yes,
For 2 separate issues.
yes,
So even data is okay.
yes.
The same issue which you are mentioning, again, data is.
There are many matters going on. Many matters going on. Okay. So the
What I told is that when I started the practice in 82, I always do it, I can't do it. So I was pursuing law. Because these provisions are there in our country also. When you have to become DPA, the district judge, then only you can become a member. Direct advocate, see, Constitution says that with 10 years experience, you can become a high court.
yes,
15 years experience, you can become Supreme Court judge.
yes,
But you can't become a judge of government, it's a derivation of high court.
yes,
It's a conundrum.
yes, it is. So again, as I said, it remains to be seen. It is for the courts to decide. That is why when I started, my job was to tell you that you should not get your hopes too high with respect to formation of tribunal. It remains to be seen whether they can form it by 1st of October. It is already, as we now know, that it is being challenged. It was always going to be challenged. So the amnesty scheme, very useful for everyone. I'm just summing it up. Extension of time limits. Before this, everybody has accepted. Now it remains to be seen whether it is being challenged. The young and dynamic lawyers in our association may want to ponder on this point. And the third part is with respect to the tribunals that was allotted to me. The highlights of the new tribunal scheme I have explained to you. However, I would say that don't waste a lot of your time in studying those provisions right now. Wait, we'll see. So I thank the association for allowing me to study these provisions in detail and letting me share my thoughts. Thank you very much.
मेरा ही है ऑडियो का था, मैंने जवाब दे दी।
ये नहीं, नीचे स्क्वायर किधर है, वायर किधर है?
क्या होगा?
अरे ये तुम लोग को बोला तो
क्या
सेमिनार का फ्लायर किधर है?
सेमिनार का प्लान चल
मैंने बोला तो क्या कर रहा है तू?
मेरा मशीन नहीं है, मेरे को ईमेल भेज के क्या होगा?
अरे वो शेयर स्क्रीन करना है।
हाँ मैं करता हूँ, समझा मेरे को।
वीडियो
Thank you, Aditya. It is always a pleasure listening to you, and from all the people who are attending online, and also we are seeing a constant uptick in the people who are attending physically. I would request everyone to please appreciate Aditya's great exposition of law with a round of applause. Aditya has very well summarized all the provisions which are newly amended, so to speak. But I couldn't. There are very few people who could have explained it better. So I thank Aditya for it. Now, for some announcements, before we end this, friends, the MGST Act, which is one of its kind publication, which is launched by which GSTPM is the only one which had launched it in, I think, 2020. The new amended MGST Act is now going to be in circulation, and we have already started taking orders for the same. Other most important thing is that all the members and all the participants who are listening to the study circle, we are an association which is surviving only because of the members, and we are for the members and by the members. So whoever has not renewed their membership or whoever wishes to take membership, please do so, because the year has just started. I don't want that you take it after 4 or 5 months of our staff calling, and then there is a condonation or delay. Please take all the entire advantage. Please renew it at the earliest. Another announcement, there is going to be an international RRC, which has been decided. We are going to Turkey. And the dates are going to be either 25th or 26th of May is when the departure will be. It is a very cost-effective plan which has been formulated. There are some nitty-gritties which are yet to be announced. And once they are announced, the circular will be out in a couple of days. And one more announcement is that for all the members, all the participants, we have announced a mega seminar, full one-day seminar on 6th of May 2023. It is a Saturday. It is to be held in Javer bin Popat Auditorium in Ghatkopar East. I request everyone to please enroll for the same. The speakers are great, the food is going to be great, and the experience will be nice. So with that, I conclude today's study circle meeting. Thank you, Aditya, once again. We'll all rise for the national anthem.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes, sir.
Because I am member of this association starting 1 year, but there is very irregularity in sending the GST reviews by the post. So my request is that you are having the emails of all of the members. So in addition to the physical copy, send the copy by email to each and every.
I will, sir, give me 1 minute. Let me just let this national anthem be over. I will address you on this. I will address you on this. I understand.
Mata ki.